Only in Kentucky can a single county claim a town named for a biblical rock, a high school built by Eleanor Roosevelt, and a festival dedicated entirely to boiling syrup. Hi, I'm Michael, and I'm learning a little bit more about Kentucky, one county at a time, all 120 of them. And today, I'm learning about Morgan County. Situated in the foothills of the Cumberland Mountain Range, Morgan County blends the rolling topography of the Bluegrass with the rugged terrain of the Appalachian Highlands. The Licking River winds through the landscape, fed by streams like Grassy Creek and Elk Fork. The earliest European exploration of the area involved surveyors floating down the Licking River to assess the wilderness for settlement. A Baptist minister named Daniel Williams became one of the first pioneers to build life in the area. Williams had traveled from North Carolina with Daniel Boone in 1775 and served in the militia during the American Revolution. He constructed a log cabin and traveled the mountains to establish congregations. His influence ran so deep that historians estimate nearly 60% of the current population can trace their lineage back to his family tree. Other pioneers followed the wilderness trails to build homes in the hollers. Meshack Shadrack Stacy traveled through the Cumberland Gap from Tennessee and settled along a creek in the early 19th century. The waterway took the name Stacy Fork, and a community eventually grew along its banks. A pioneer named Edmund Wells recognized the power of the river and established a watermill in 1816. A small settlement grew around the operation, taking the name Wells Mill. The Kentucky legislature officially created Morgan County in 1822, carving the territory from both Floyd and Bath counties. They named the jurisdiction to honor General Daniel Morgan, a hero of the Revolutionary War. And when officials needed to designate a county seat, they selected Wells Mill but decided to change the name. Rumors circulated that Pike County planned to name their new county seat Liberty. And to honor their eastern neighbors, the founders of the Morgan County seat chose the name West Liberty. How kind of them. However, Pike County ultimately decided to name their town Pikeville to honor explorer Zebulon Pike. This decision left West Liberty with no eastern namesake, creating a geographic oddity where the town of West Liberty sits exactly 100 miles east of the town of Liberty, Kentucky. The Civil War eventually brought violence to the mountain valleys. While the majority of the county supported the Confederacy, hundreds of men also volunteered to fight for the Union. Men from Morgan County rallied to the Southern cause, forming nearly 4 entire companies of the 5th Kentucky Infantry. Skirmishes erupted near West Liberty, including a sharp fight at McClanahan Hill. Fires consumed much of the town during the occupations, destroying the brick courthouse that had served the county already for decades. The community spent decades rebuilding the infrastructure after the armies retreated. A few historic structures survived the era, including the Judge John E. Cooper House, a traditional 2-story dwelling built in 1872 that still stands on Main Street. The turn of the 20th century introduced an era of unprecedented growth driven by a highly specific natural resource. As you already know, geologists discovered deposits of cannel coal in the southern portion of the county. Unlike standard coal, cannel coal contains a high percentage of volatile matter, allowing it to ignite easily and burn with a steady, bright flame. To extract this fuel, investors funded the Ohio and Kentucky Railway in 1901. The tracks pierced the wilderness, and a boomtown named Cannel City erupted around the mines. At its peak, the Kentucky Block Cannel Coal Company shipped resources across the globe. This city quickly eclipsed West Liberty in size and wealth, boasting grocery stores, a hardware supplier, a bank, and an elegant lodging facility known as the Hotel Delancey. But the golden age of this town vanished almost as quickly as it arrived. The veins of coal played out just as the timber companies exhausted the surrounding forests. The railroad made its final trip in November 1933, and workers scrapped the tracks shortly afterward. The boomtown faded into more of a quiet hamlet, leaving behind only echoes of its industrial past. Today, visitors explore Delancey Park to view a preserved train caboose. A massive well built over a century ago to pump water into the steam engines still stands as a monument to the railway. The rugged terrain isolated pockets of settlers across the county, leading to the creation of unique communities with colorful origin stories. When the Postal Service expanded into the mountains, locals needed names for their outposts. A postmaster named Eli Peart opened an office in 1875 and named the town Zell, drawing inspiration from a rock mentioned in the Bible. And the community of Relief earned its name because early settlers found it as a profound relief to finally have a post office nearby, eliminating the long journey through the hills for their mail. Other communities took their titles directly from the residents who served them. Elamton, Dingus, and Cottle were all named for their early postmasters. The town of Grassy Creek took its name from a pioneer who missed his original hometown of Grassy Creek, North Carolina. A town called Crockett secured a post office in 1900, taking its name from David Crockett Fannin, the son of the postmaster. Today, Crockett serves as the home to Rod and Staff Publishing, a massive facility that prints literature and textbooks for Mennonite congregations worldwide. And the community of Maytown claims the birthplace of Paul Gilly, a songwriter who secretly penned lyrics for country music legends. Gilly possessed an incredible talent for storytelling but lacked industry connections. He routinely rode the bus to Nashville and sold his handwritten lyrics for pocket change and relinquished all the rights to his music. Music historians trace classics like Cold, Cold Heart and I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry back to Gilly, though Hank Williams famously received the credit. Gilly drowned in a pond in Texas at the age of 27, and his massive contributions to American music remained hidden for decades. Now, as the Great Depression gripped the nation, the federal government initiated projects that permanently altered the architecture of the county. Local officials had already constructed a courthouse in 1907 using precast concrete blocks featuring octagonal corner towers that gave the building the appearance of a medieval fortress. The administration also employed laborers to build an educational facility along Prestonsburg Street. Workers quarried native sandstone to construct the 4-story building, creating the largest school facility built by the administration in the entire state. And First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt traveled to West Liberty in 1937 to dedicate the structure, which now serves as a community center and houses government offices. The WPA also ventured into the rural communities, constructing the Wrigley Elementary School out of native stone in 1936. And this architecture and spirit of Morgan County face an unimaginable test in March of 2012. A massive weather system spawned a tornado that produced winds associated with an EF3 rating. The funnel touched down and tore a path of destruction measuring a mile wide. The storm traveled 85 miles across the state, holding the ground longer than any other tornado in the country that year. The vortex moved directly through downtown West Liberty, obliterating businesses, shattering homes, and tossing vehicles into the air. The historic Christian Church of West Liberty was completely wiped off its foundation. The disaster killed 6 people in the county and injured dozens more. The devastation left the community paralyzed, but emergency crews and volunteers descended on the town to clear the rubble. The courthouse suffered severe damage, leading experts to initially declare the structure a total loss. However, engineers eventually determined that the walls could be salvaged, allowing crews to restore the century-old building. The tragedy, however, also bred a completely different kind of storm. As tens of millions of dollars flowed into the county for disaster recovery, corruption took root. A disaster relief company sued the county over unpaid bills for heavy equipment, sparking a massive investigation. Federal authorities uncovered a web of price gouging, bid rigging, and money laundering tied directly to the recovery funds. The sitting judge executive eventually pleaded guilty to accepting kickbacks from contractors and was sentenced to 7 years in federal prison. Despite the scars of the storm and the scandal, the community spent years rebuilding their storefronts and neighborhoods, demonstrating a profound resilience that redefined the identity of the county. The modern county offers a wealth of opportunities for outdoor recreation if you're into that kind of thing. The Army Corps of Engineers manages Cave Run Lake to the west and Paintsville Lake to the east, providing residents access to thousands of acres of water. Anglers launch boats from the Blackwater Boat Ramp or the 26 Boat Ramp, navigating the coves to cast lines for bass and crappie. Those looking for a different fishing experience visit Bishop's Pay Lake in West Liberty, which features one lake stocked with trophy-sized fish and another dedicated entirely to channel catfish. Families pitch tents at Patoker Park, enjoying guided trail rides and picnic shelters along the shoreline. Hunters visit the Duck Creek Quail Hunting Preserve. Visitors explore the wilderness near the town of Wrigley to view Wrigley Arch, a tunnel carved through the rock by railroad workers in 1907. The creek flows through a smaller adjacent arch, creating a formation locals call the Twin Tunnels. Deeper in the woods, near the community of Blaze, hikers discover Blaze Falls, a stunning 8-foot waterfall that drops across the massive rocky tiers. Treadway Memorial Park honors the sacrifices of military vets. The grounds featured a preserved tank and a rare monument dedicated exclusively to women who served in the armed forces, providing a quiet space for reflection. Old Mill Park offers a gathering place along the banks of the Licking River. The venue features a rock garden fountain, walking track, amphitheater, and actually the amphitheater where musicians perform during the Live on the Licking concert series. The Caney General Store offers snacks alongside a museum filled with artifacts that chronicle the history of the county. Fannon's Vegetable Farm operates a stand outside West Liberty, selling produce and pumpkins. Residents can satisfy their cravings at Freezer Fresh, a walk-up dairy bar serving milkshakes and sundaes. Culture of the county culminates on the last full weekend of September during the Morgan County Sorghum Festival. The highlight of the event involves a live demonstration of sorghum production. Farmers utilize a mill powered by mules to crush the stalks of sorghum cane, extracting the bright green juice. and then they boil the liquid in large pans over an open fire, evaporating the water until it transforms into a thick, sweet syrup. The festival concludes with gospel music performances at Old Mill Park. So, that's Morgan County. What did I get wrong this time?